Hello and welcome to the show. I am Kachi Ofia, your host for the next hour of pure entertainment. We're going to be venturing into the very exciting world of entertainment, arts and culture. You know what time it is. This is Rise 360. Now, there are two things I'm very sure. First of all, it's certainly going to be a great show. And second, I'm about to tell you what's been going on all across the world. So here's what you can look forward to on Arise 360. First, we'll be taking a quick look at what has been making the major headlines across the four corners of the globe. And this will be on our daily trip around the world. And then we'll be taking another quick look at the music industry. Let's get to know what your favorite pop stars have been up to. Now, if there's one thing we can never miss out on the show, it's the fact that we're going to be taking a quick look at what's going on in the world of arts and culture. Yes, theaters, galleries, and everything in between. And finally, it will be all about the music, film and television rather, yes. I'll be breaking down what's hot and what's not. All of this and so much more right here on Arise 360. All right, let's get the show started. Let's take a look at some of the major stories that have made major international headlines. And that means a look at what has happened in a day around the world.
Such a nice day for a jog. What's going on in his head? What, my ass doesn't look good in this skirt?
Given the current climate, it feels inappropriate for me to comment on your body.
Brandon?
Tight as a snare drum, you could bounce a quarter off that thing.
Screw him. Today's my day. I'm making partner, baby.
Headline news. Somebody in this room is about to be summoned. Worldwide Sports Management's newest partner. Whoa! That pass was actually to Eddie.
Yeah!
I'm so sick of this boys' club.
They say that I don't connect with men.
I hired a psychic.
Where did you find her?
Facebook.
I can help you. Why don't we have some tea?
This smells like dirt.
Oh, that's just jasmine tea. If you don't count the weed and the peyote and the crack.
I feel weird after last night.
Yeah, that's what happens when tequila meets death.
Now, as interesting as that movie looks, this movie, What Men Want, is about to get off to a very, very rocky start. Now, the situation with this movie is that a lot of people are not happy with Taraji P. Henson. So the Empire actress received major backlash after she took to her Instagram story on Tuesday to compare the Mute R. Kelly movement to Harvey Weinstein. So the R. Kelly hashtag began in the wake of surviving R. Kelly. We can all remember how tragic that situation was. And Taraji happened to question why the defamed movie producer was not receiving the same mute treatment as the rapper. Well, since the backlash began, I mean, obviously, it's been really crazy. She immediately tweeted, "Let me be clear, R. Kelly is guilty and wrong and should be muted, period." Well, that was definitely a good save for this movie, which is supposed to be out on February 8th. As for Harvey Weinstein, while he has not been muted, he was fired from his company. The Me Too movement was created, as was the Time's Up, and he ended up being arrested and charged with rape. And now, staying in America, students and teachers from a high school in Florida where 17 died during a shooting on Valentine's Day last year have written a raw, poignant book about living through that tragedy. Now, the book, Parkland Speakers, Survivors of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Shared Your Stories, basically details what it's like to live through, or rather what it was like to live through the 6 minutes shooting spree and its aftermath. So 43 students and their teachers contributed to the 192-page paperback of essays, poems, photos, and art that was published on Tuesday. This was by Crown Books. Now, a specific lady that, really stood out in this book was Brianna Jerzionowski. Now, she was in her English class when it was almost ending, and then the shootings just began, and this was outside on the first floor. The school was a 3-story freshman building, and she says she began writing poems before she asked to contribute to the book, and that's basically how she managed to cope.
So those are the Hearing the yelling outside, I was left red-eyed. As the windows shatter, we realize it's not a laughing matter. Questions asked as we get checked. Looking in the halls, it's all wrecked. The events of Valentine's Day have left me gray. Confusion clouds my mind. Didn't know I could be so blind. As the shots filled the room, the atmosphere was gloom. Thinking that it was a drill, I didn't realize later that I'd feel ill. I guess it kind of brings me back. I mean, the closer that we got to, now that we're getting closer to it, I mean, my emotions have definitely intensified, and then just reading this kind of definitely brought me back into the room.
All right, now let's get on to Latin America. So yes, the news on the nomination of the Oscars came out yesterday, and we're so excited. But in Latin America, news of Alfonso Cuarón's Roma being nominated for 10 Academy Awards. Yes, it's in the leading race, and it has residents of the director's childhood Mexico City neighborhood joyfully mining their own memories and, of course, anticipating showing their children the film someday. So Cuarón's personal film, shot in black and white with dialogue in Spanish and Mixtec, was a typical hit. I mean, the film is dedicated to a domestic worker in his childhood home and was released on Netflix, allowing an audience far beyond those likely to buy a ticket to an intimate art house type film just to catch a glimpse of the capital's middle-class Roma Sur, or let's just say South Roma neighborhood. Well, people loved it, Mexicans are excited, and then we just have to wait for the Oscars to see if they actually get the award. Anyway, somebody who is not getting any awards right now is Fan Bingbing, and this is all the way in Asia. So China's film industry had to pay more than $1.7 billion in back taxes, and this was the aftermath of last year's explosive tax evasion scandal involving the superstar actress Fan Bingbing. So the phenomenal sum represents a full fifth of China's total box office revenue in 2018. And these back payments were made by companies as well as individual film stars and, of course, professionals. The move basically was heightened after Fan Bingbing's sensational, tragic fall from grace last October. She was ordered to pay over $100 million in back taxes after spending weeks in detention. Now, Beijing authorities instructed entertainment industry players to reevaluate their tax histories in the spirit of self-examination and self-correction. And of course, as you can imagine, companies were quick to do this because they were giving until the end of 2018 to correct their tax standing, or those found guilty or to be in areas will definitely be seriously dealt with according to the law. And of course, nobody wants that. Well, let's go over to Australia now. So you see, we all love movies, and now BBC4 is understanding how much impact that can create. So the channel that brought international shows such as Borgin and Inspector Non-Talbano to UK viewers has snapped up a new thriller, and this is all the way from Australia. Now, foreign dramas including Wallander and The Killing have been big hits for the channel, and it is now announced Safe Harbour, a 4-part series from Australia, is going to be on for its Saturday night slot. Now, other international series will also be returning excitedly, such as Icelandic crime drama Trapped, Danish thriller Follow the Money, and detective story Cardinal. So in case you're wondering, what's the big deal? Well, Safe Harbour basically features 6 friends who set up sail on a yacht trip from Brisbane to Indonesia. Now, the friends come to the aid of a group of asylum seekers on a broken-down boat. But you see, coming to help strangers on a boat, not always a good idea, because this encounter eventually leads to a series of events that change their lives irrevocably. And not in a good way, if I must add. Well, now let's go over to Europe, where a certain situation that could have changed someone's life for the bad may just turn out to be something good. So US singer Chris Brown and 2 other people were released from police custody after a woman filed a rape complaint against them. So the Grammy-winning singer was detained on Monday with 2 other suspects on potential charges of aggravated rape and drug infractions. Now, the police prosecutor's office told the Associated Press that Brown has been authorized to leave France while the investigation is ongoing. The woman who filed the Paris complaint said she met Chris Brown and his friends overnight on January 15th to 16th, and then they all went into a hotel in central Paris. Now, Chris Brown is really upset about this, and he made this known on Instagram that he's also planning to sue this lady for defamation. So, in the UK, Celine Dion is ready to spread her vocal magic all the way in London. Yes, she is playing her only European headline date on July 5th, and this will be in Hyde Park, London. And in case you haven't heard, it is part of a big series of British summertime concerts in the capital. So Celine Dion is finishing her residency in Las Vegas on June 8th. Her second stint at Caesar's Palace, and other acts of announced to play at Hyde Park. So we're also expecting to see Florence and the Machine, Robbie Williams at the same show. And still on all the greatness surrounding the Oscar buzz, in India, Aruna Shalam Muruganatham's journey of invention started all the way back in 1998. So he was newly married, and he was horrified to see his wife, Shanti Natrajan, using old rags during her menstrual cycle. Now, if she bought the sanitary napkins sold in the shop, she told him she could not afford milk for the family. So what did he do? Mr. Muruganatham set about developing a machine to create safe, affordable pads, that is sanitary pads, a journey that led him to wearing a football bladder of animal blood to trail a prototype that would eventually win him awards. Now, on Tuesday, his creativity was further underscored when a documentary about his invention was nominated for an Oscar. The film is competing against Black Sheep, which tells the story of a Nigerian boy who moves to Britain, amongst so many other great movies. And we'll definitely have some more on the Oscars much later. But for now, let's finally get to Africa. So Omotola Jolade Kende has expressed, her delight at the 2019 Oscars nominations, saying that most of the movies that she nominated made the list of nominees. Now, this actress on her Instagram page told her followers and fans how she voted because she's a member of the Academy in generating the Oscars nominee list. However, the alter ego star expressed sadness that no African movie made it to the nominees. She said she wasn't so excited that no African movie made it. However, someday soon, we will be doing this for Africans, hopefully. So she was announced as a member of the Academy of Motion Picture and Arts and Sciences in 2018, alongside filmmaker and brain behind Battleground and Tinsel. Also in Africa, the video to Tiwa Savage's One has apparently been taken down from YouTube. So the Maven singer late last year released the single One, a song where she expressed her gratitude for all that had come her way during the course of the year. Now, barely 48 hours the release of the song, controversy started. A singer by the name Danny Young alleged on his Instagram page that Tiwa Savage had taken a line of his 2009 single, Oju Tiwọn. Now, Tiwa Savage didn't comment and, of course, went on to release the visuals to the song a few weeks later. Now, it's starting to look like Danny Young took his case to YouTube. Their courts, who have been known for their zero tolerance of any perceived case of violated copyright laws, have now taken down this video. Well, it is time for a short break now, but you stay tuned to the show. Coming up, I'll be bringing you all the latest music news, and we'll also be finding out what's been trending on social media. Don't go away.